going on to see all these pains in the world. How long? Oh, tell me, tell me how long?
Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons rivalry is literally becoming must-watch TV. I want to dive into that in this video. I hope you enjoyed the intro, by the way, too. Trying something a little bit different. But before I dive in, this video is brought to you by Bridges and Stones Family and Relationship Care. You know they say no one changes until the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change. Well, Bridges and Stones Family and Relationship Care is a space for individuals who are ready to change and challenge the normalcies that have kept them stuck in the same place. Contact Bridges and Stones today for a free consultation and take a step towards your greatest change. The link is in the description box below. You know, I wanted to do this video because there was like several things taking place in my mind. I'm up late, so hey, what else am I going to be thinking about, right? But I'm thinking back on this game, and I'm answering like a lot of comments because most of y'all who follow my channel know if you leave a comment, I'm probably gonna respond to it, and we're gonna have a little conversation, a little dialogue, just a little something extra for this community. You know what I mean? And I started thinking about it, and I was like, wait a second. Tyrese Halliburton just outplayed Cade Cunningham in a big game. In a big game. And I started thinking to myself, did Tyrese Halliburton just snatch Cade Cunningham's all-star berth right from underneath him? I mean, because we have to really think about it. Neither of those guys are probably going to get fan voted in to be in the starting lineup. Both of these guys are big-time point guards, lead guards, and in the Eastern Conference that is absolutely saturated with lead guards. We have to start asking ourselves, well, which ones are going to get in and which ones aren't? Well, considering the fact that before last night, they were pretty much all tied. We're pretty much all tied in the same spot in terms of record, positioning, wins. Each of them have had some ups and downs, but mostly ups. Both teams are on a tear, just running through the league, performing great since the new year, and probably one of the hottest teams. And here they are facing off, and Cade Cunningham gets blitzed. Andrew Nembhard is guarding him all 92 feet, and Cade looks flustered, and he's reverting back to his bad turnovers, and his team loses. And it didn't look good. And I had to ask myself, well, shoot, if this is a lasting image moment in general managers and front office people and coaches and players' minds, does Cade Cunningham get in? And so I started going through the whole lineups, and of course, there's mad guards. So between Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, between Tyrese Halliburton and Darius Garland, Damian Lillard, and Trae Young, it's going to be hard as hell to make the All-Star game. Let's just be clear about that. Not to mention that you also have the return of the Orlando Magic forward Paolo Banchero. You also have newly acquired Karl Anthony Towns to the New York Knicks. Of course, you got Boston, who's been dominating. And you've got Cleveland, right, with Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland as well. I mean, you have a dearth of players who are going to be deserving. I mean, and if Franz Wagner gets back, well, in enough time to put in a run, I mean, considering they are considerably higher in the playoff bracket, these guys are going to start demanding spots on this team. And it's going to be hard to force your way in, especially when you have games like the one you just had. When you're trying to get your name out there, when you're trying to put people on notice and say, hey, I'm him, I'm next. They start looking at you, but they also start looking at you on a game by game basis, right? I was watching this other podcast, YouTube channel with this cat, Chill, and this other cat. He was from England or something like that. Yeah, he was from England. And he starts hyper focusing on this one game that Cade had that was really a rough game and a loss to the Toronto Raptors. And I was like, yeah, that was one game because he had Scotty Barnes guarding him, but it's a bad look when people are looking at you from game to game. All that's to say is, even though Cade has had marvelous, amazing games after that and around that, and throughout the season, he's had an incredible season, he still is trying to convince people. Did Tyrese Halliburton and Indiana Pacers just snatch his all-star berth? I think that's the first question I want to ask y'all. Get at me in the comment section about that. But I also want to take a look at just this rivalry that's brewing. Now, a rivalry that's been there all the way from Malice in the Palace and potential NBA championship that was lost to the Indiana Pacers when they had Jermaine O'Neal and Jamal Tinsley and Steven Jackson, and they had squad. Reggie Miller was still there, and of course Ron Artest, also known as Meta World Peace. And the whole incident that was kicked off by one Ben Wallace. There's been a little funk there for a minute. And now all of a sudden, I think it's actually brewing all over again. I already covered the whole Cade Cunningham and Tyrese Halliburton kind of rivalry that's brewing because they're two lead guards in the Eastern Conference trying to solidify their place and positioning in terms of being an all-star, in terms of being elite and top of the NBA as a guard. But you also have some other storylines here. You also have Jaden Ivey, who was drafted before Benedict Mathurin. People forget from that draft, that was a close debate. Who was going to be the selection? Of course, I think the Detroit Pistons selected the right guy in Jaden Ivey, but when you looked at Mathurin, you couldn't necessarily deny just how much talent he had. He actually made the all-rookie team while Jaden Ivey struggled to. He was actually, I think Benedict Mathurin was first team all-rookie. Ivey was like second team, I believe. But then you also have, and people forget about this, that Asar Thompson was drafted right before Jarris Walker. If you look back at my old videos, Jarris Walker was actually the piece that I wanted the Detroit Pistons to get. Jarris Walker is going to be nice, and I mean nice. A versatile defender that can guard all 5 positions, great size, length, physicality, played at the University of Houston, anchored a defense there. He would have been a great kind of chemistry partnership with Marcus Sasser, who was at the University of Houston with him. I thought he was going to be able to provide some of that more traditional, versatile forward, almost in that Aaron Gordon type of Swiss Army knife that can do a lot of different things for you. He's athletic, he's long, very skilled, pass, handle, create for himself a little bit. Really worked on that jump shot, looks beautiful. And yet, I think Asar Thompson has the more high-end talent. Same with Jaden Ivey. And yet, I'm pretty sure both Mathurin and Jarris Walker, who are probably thought of as the future for this Indiana Pacers team, right there behind Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, and Miles Turner, are probably also a little bit bitter about being looked over for the other guy. But here's the kicker. Here's the creme de la creme of the whole situation. They're in the same division. They are in the same division. They are going to see each other. I believe they play each other 4 times. 4 times every year. They're going to have to see each other more than any other team. But here's the thing. Not only are they within the same division, they're actually going to be overlapping fan bases, regionally, that is. That they're going to have people probably in the same family who are rooting for either team. And here's the thing. They actually could very well end up playing each other in the play-in tournament. They could end up playing each other in the playoffs. And considering the trajectory of where both teams are at, yeah, the Indiana Pacers, I would say, are definitely closer to their contention window than the Detroit Pistons. But I don't think the Pistons are that far behind. I think in 2 years, I think next year they make the playoffs, period. Probably as a lower seed. They might have to do it through the play-in. But I think they get into the playoffs for sure next year, if not this season, especially when Jaden Ivey is back. But who's going to be there? The Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers could easily end up being a number 3 seed, a number 4 seed, facing a number 5 seed or a number 6 seed Detroit Pistons. I see something beautiful brewing in this rivalry. I think it is going to be absolutely prime time television. I mean, you constantly have Miles Turner, absolutely, oh my goodness, snatching Jalen Duren's lunch every single time they play. I mean, he just sees Jalen Duren, he's like, oh, I'm about to get on. I'm about to get signed. I'm about to get the bag from the highlights from this game because this dude cannot guard me. And I think that's going to put a little battery pack in Jalen Duren. He's got to prove himself against the guy that he's going to have to see constantly, that he's going to be compared to constantly. All the rumors everybody's saying about trade Jalen Duren, who are they saying trade him for? Miles Turner or a Miles Turner type. Someone who can spread the floor, shoot threes, defend the rim. Who does that sound like? Miles Turner. You don't think that kind of irks him a little bit? You don't think that kind of, jabs at him a little bit? I think this is going to be the type of rivalry that pretty soon it's going to be on national television every single time, especially when Mathurin gets back and Ivey gets back. When Jarris Walker eventually slides into that starting role and has to see Asar Thompson, all of a sudden you start looking at like, dang, Cade and Tyrese. Okay, you got Ivey and Mathurin. Okay, you got Asar and Walker, right? You got guys lined up against each other like, yeah, man, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I think it's going to be fireworks every single time. And I believe they have one more meet. And I forgot to even mention, I believe it was the Detroit Pistons who knocked out the Indiana Pacers in the in-season tournament to be able to advance to go to Vegas. And that was a huge game. Huge game. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I think this is going to be an incredible rivalry for a long time. But as always, I want to know what you all think. What do you think of the intro? I just thought the song was just fitting. It's late at night. You get ideas. It is what it is. Holla at your boy. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.